Hi there, welcome to my channel, The Social Canvas. My name is Carol and I'm going to be teaching you today how to do some luscious cherries. Hard to say that, luscious cherries. It's gonna be a quick painting, so you can take note, you can stop, you can rewind, whatever. But first of all, I'm going to actually pencil draw in my cherries, and then I'm going to go from there. So I'm just going to do a couple of cherries today, and I'm going to make them a good size. So obviously that's, we don't want any small cherries, so I'm just going to make a fairly loose shape. By the way, I'm painting in acrylics, but if you want to join me in a different painting, whether it's oils or whether it's watercolors, then you can follow along in your own style. So I'm just making a round circle there. You may not tell, but I am actually painting using a canvas that I've already used, but it's okay because it's going to get covered anyway. So I've got my first luscious cherry, and then I'm going to put one, I think, in the background here a little bit, just behind it like so. That can be slightly bigger cherry maybe. It's sitting behind there, it doesn't have to be perfectly the same. This one's kind of on its side, and this one's got its top showing, if you like. And so I'm gonna have the middle of the cherry. It's got kind of a big bit in the end, and a small bit going down like that. And then I think on this one I'm going to have my middle of my cherry about there, so I'm just circling that out, and then the end is going to be about like that. So that's the basic area of what I need. I'm not going to do a fancy background. This is just sitting on a table, so I'm just going to do the table like that to the sides, and then I'm going to show from the sourdough. So first of all, I am going to do the cherries rather than do the outside, because I just find it easier to do that. I've got an angled brush here, a small angled brush, which is a number 4, I think. I have some reds, some pinks, blue, green, yellow, and some white, and a little bit of lilac on my plate. Always need plenty of white, so I'll probably shove a little bit more white out there. But as I'm speeding through this, so to speak, I'm going to get the basics down first. So I'm going to grab some red first of all, take it to the side, grab a bit of white with it. I'm going to make a sort of a lighter colour, a lighter red. I'm going to layer this up a little bit. So I'm just going to grab that red on there like that. Keep to my outside with my angle brush, it's just easier to do that. You can cover over your pencil marks if you want to, or you can leave them showing. As you can see, I'm leaving a gap where my stalk is going. I'm going to go around this with the red, but what I'm going to do here in a minute is I'm going to add another tone to it. Loosely done, this is what I would call loosely done. And I'm going to add a darker tone of red, so I'm going to grab my red again, a bit more of the darker red. See how that's coming out a little bit darker. If it's still wet, you can still work with your paint, or you can wait for it to dry to play with it. I'm going to add a tiny bit of blue. Now there's lots of different ways you can make a darker red. I'm just adding a tiny bit of blue because I want that kind of a tone in there. So you see it's gone a little bit darker now. I'm going to leave that to dry for now. I'll just go around the edge with the darker and then leave that to dry. And then this side here, On this cherry, I'm going to start with a little bit of a lighter tone, so I'm going to add some white in with my red. And I'm going to make this side a lot lighter, so I'm grabbing a lot more white in with that. Quite a bit more white actually on that side. And along the top here too, I'm going to have a much lighter tone, so I'm actually grabbing more white on my brush. I haven't washed my brush out, I've just grabbed more white on there. Like so. I'm going to leave that. I've got some white on my brush, as you can see, and I'm just softly blending that in on that side. I'm coming right down to the bottom here. Around about there. Just giving it a round shape like that. So this does dry quite quick, but you want to wait for it to completely dry if you're going to work on it again. So while I'm waiting for that to dry, again, I'm going to get a slightly darker tone on this side. Again, what I'm going to do is I'm not washing my brush off. I'm going to bring some blue to the side, grab a bit more red with my blue, and come out of kind of a purple tone almost. And that's what I'm looking for. A little bit of water on that to keep it flowing. And then I'm going to grab that side and bring it all the way around. So you can see how dark purple that is. It's quite dark. But that's okay because that's in the shade. Try and be careful not to go around my stalk. So I'm just coming up to that, all the way up to there. And I'm going to sweep this tone around. Sweep it around like that. Okay. And all the way around to about there. Doesn't matter if it's blending in with the pink a little bit. So just a little bit more blue in with that, I think. Tiny bit more blue because I want to go a little bit darker. Doesn't matter if you don't see blue in your cherry. Really doesn't. Okay, so I'm going to come up a little bit closer to my middle section here also with this colour. Deep red in there, so where the center of the cherry is, again I'm coming up with that dark colour, trying to leave my stalk there free like that. So I'm just leaving that like that. And blue in there. Okay, and then I'm going to grab that darker tone again. I'm waiting for this to dry so I don't bring that paint off before I go over there. So while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm going to grab the very bottom here and I'm just going to add that dark tone to the very bottom because that part dried a bit quicker. I'm just going to bring that up there very roughly all the way up to my edge. Miss the edge a little bit. I'll come up there like that. Okay, so hopefully that is getting dry because I need it to be a little bit drier, so I'm just gonna, it's a bit wetter over that side, so I'm gonna make this area dry, I should say darker over here, Just bringing my brush a little bit further around there. I'm not going to worry too much about leaving some edge there, because I want it to be a rough edge anyway. So you just have to have a dry brush and just touch it very lightly to get that kind of an edge anyway. And then I'm going to come this side of my cherry. All the way down. Make sure you got enough water on your brush, otherwise you'll get a bit dry there. I've got a bit more red on this now. I'm just going to dry brush right into this little white area here, and I'm going to do some dry brushing just on the edge of that darker tone there, just like that. And grabbing some more red now, and I'm going to start putting some more red in here as well. I'm going to wash my brush off and get a cleaner brush because I want the red to show up a little bit more now, like so. I'm probably going to start putting in some different tones here and there of the red. A little bit up there. Overlap that area a little bit, like that. And right in here I'm going in with my red too. And I'm overlapping into my dark tone because it's dry enough I can do that, so. Like so. And on this side, again, just bringing a bit more red in, darker tone red. Again, I'm just going to double coat that area there. And then I also want to, again, bring some of that darker tone up into my area up here. I'm just going to overlap that area a little bit and just make that a little bit darker. It looks like it's round that side there. Okay, I'm going to get some blue now. I want it to be a little bit more of a blue tone in here, so I'm just coming in with some patchy, again, trying to go in different angles with this, some patchy blue. Overlapping a bit, and I'm going to bring a bit more blue into my tone there as well, and right into this bit. Probably should switch brushes at this stage. Definitely what you call a raw artist. I don't stick with the rules, so to speak. And why should we? There are no rules in art, right? Definitely not. Okay, so far so good. Now I'm going to start adding in some lighter accents. I'm going to use a smaller brush now, which is my number 4 round. I'm going to get that dry. I'm going to grab some white here and there. Just want to go on that area here. I'm just going to drag some white quite thickly around that side there. Now if it's still wet, you will pick up some of the pink, but I won't worry too much about that. And then on this one, it's going to have a sheen here and there. Let's just put it on a little bit thicker. Bring some lighter tone back into my area up here, like a light pink. Bring that all the way in there. Just going to push my brush in to that. Again, I'm just going to lighten up a little bit around here, not too much, a little bit. Got some pink here. I'm going to bring a little bit of pink in, just softly. I don't want it too bright, so I've just added some white to it, so it's a softer pink. A little bit of that up there, maybe. A little bit up here. And this side over here, I'm not so keen on, so I'm going to grab a bit more of the red. Just going to bring in a little bit of the lighter tone over this side. A bit more of the red in as well. Even though you see there is a lot of red in a cherry, obviously with the light, the way the light works on them, it's not so visible as it would be if it was in bright daylight. It would probably be a lot lighter. So I'm just going to grab a bit more red here and there into my cherry over here. Just bring that in a bit. It's looking a bit more like it. Just a bit. Just going to grab a little, again, that lighter tone around this area here. Right up to there. And I think a little bit of the pink tone coming over there a little bit. It's good to play with your colours for sure, till you get it how you want it. I'm just going to lighten up that area there. A bit of pink in there. Alright, I'm going to continue with a bit more red here and there. I do like a tiny bit of white in with my red, just so it shows up a little bit better. And circling this out a little bit, as you can see around here. I don't want it to be a circle, it needs to be loose enough so that it's not a straight line or anything like that. I just want it to be loose, patchy colours, because again, if you study fruit of any kind and the way the light sits on it, it just gives it different colours and tones. So okay, I'm getting there, I'm getting there, I want to say. Play with a little bit more red tone, I think, in here. And I may also a little lighter over there. Really come down there a little bit. There's the lights on the top of the cherry. I'm just going to lighten that up much more than it is. Here and there. A little white backing there. I'm going to extend this one out a little bit because it didn't make it quite as big as that one. But I'm happy with the way this one's going, definitely. That one I am. I'm going to give it a very rough edge as I'm coming down here. I'll make sure I come up to my, oops. I'll play with this one a little bit more, I think, in the respect of, I might give it some lighter touches here and there in the middle. Maybe down here. Don't want to lose the redness completely, so I'm just making sure some of that really shines and stands out. It's actually good to have a couple of, if you've got, you know, it's not the season probably for cherries, but if it was, I would say it's probably a good idea to have your reference right in front of you. I'm working from a reference photo here at the moment, but photo or the actual thing would be great, of course. Going to get back in that bit there because I've gone over that. Just lightened it up a bit. And a little bit of that darkness coming into that side a little bit. Like that. And a little bit more darkness coming into this edge too. I don't want to lose my edge completely. Slowly, gingerly going up into that area there. I mean, if you've got a purple, it's good to work with a purple tone already. I grabbed a little bit of lilac in with mine as well. I mean a darker purple rather than a lighter purple. Okay, we'll get into where I like it a bit more. That's always a good sign. I'm still working on a bit more red without it being in your face red, so I'll put a bit of pink in with it. And sometimes it comes together once you've got the background in too, so I may be just getting back to that somehow. Once this is dry, I think I'll probably be able to tell a lot more as well. I'm going to have a very light touch around there so that I can see the difference between the two. Okay, so I'm going to now grab some green with some yellow and a bit of white. So if you can see, very, very pale green, white. White is because I really don't want it too strong a colour. Again, I've got flattened my my brush a little bit here. I'm going to come through with that tone first, and then I'm going to just give it a couple of different shades like that. This is a very washed out green. Sometimes I do my backgrounds and then paint things in, and sometimes I like to paint around my things. No particular conformity there, but so I'm grabbing a little bit of lilac and red together. I haven't cleaned my brush off because I'm naughty, but if you want to, and I'm just putting a little bit of that because it's rounder on the edge, just a touch of it on the end there, and I might put a touch in also and right on this edge. It's a sort of a slightly bigger. I'm just touching a bit of pink green right in the middle a bit more because it's a bit thicker, and then I'm just going to touch that pink green right on the edge there, like so. And I may go a little bit darker on this edge with a little bit of more red right on the bottom line, like so. You know, I'll play with that a little bit more, I think, as I go along, especially as it's coming into here, just a little bit darker red coming into there. And of course this is dark already, so I don't need to do it on that one. Let's pull that in. Jolly good. My cherry, more cherry. I'm going to just grab a large brush for my background. I've got a large round brush here. I'm not going to go too dark with it. I want to leave it quite subtle. So I'm grabbing a load of white to the side, trying to keep it clean with a little bit of lilac in it. And a little bit of pinky lilac. And I'm just going to give a shadow. I'm going to start softly. I'm putting a little bit more red in it actually than I did. A soft shadow around the bottom of my cherry. Like so. I'll make that a little bit darker coming up there in a minute. And in fact, I'm going to put a little bit more of the lilac in there. It's too pink. A little bit more of the lilac. Coming right up into my I'm just going to make that sort of a roundish shape if I can, coming out from my edge. And I'm just going to bring that one up here to meet this one. So the light's coming from over there, as you can see by the light on the cherry. Now right underneath there's going to be a darker shadow, so I'm going to add a little bit of darker red. Again, going back to my reddish blue, or if you've got a purple tone, that would be good too. And I'm just adding a little bit of blue actually in there, right underneath. I'm leaving a tiny gap just so it shows up a little bit. I'm going right into my gap there, and I'm just bringing that out a little bit, very softly and very. Bigger brushes are not always easy to get around those things. I mean, if you know how to handle them, then great. If not, I would move to a smaller brush. I think I can come right up to that line now. Maybe get a tad darker. Right, I'm going to come back to that in a minute, but I'm going to grab a load more white on my brush because I really want the background. I'm not washing it off per se, I'm just grabbing a lot of white, and with this, even more than that. Grab some more white because I just want it to be a very soft tone in the background. Doesn't have to be one tone. In fact, I'm grabbing a lot more white over here because of course this is the side where the light's shining from, so it's got a very subtle amount of pinkish tone in it. I'm going to try and get my edge to be a lot better on that side. Got a little bit of pink in it because I haven't washed my brush off, but if you're finding it difficult to do that, you may need to wash your brush off first. Of course, the harder you press, that pink will come off again, so. You can see how I'm making a little bit pinker up to the top there. Using different brush strokes again. Doesn't matter if this is a little bit darker over here. And for the background, I think I might make a very subtle green for my background. So again, need quite a good amount of white, and I'm going to grab again the same green, touch of yellow in my green. I want to make it a very, 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 very subtle green, as I said, and the only way you can make it subtle green is add lots of white in it. Oops, a bit more yellow in there, that would be good. It's still too much green, so I'm adding a lot more white in there. Not too minty green. More of a yellow green than a minty green, but this is a two-tone green at the moment. With copious amounts of white added on top, because as I said, I don't want it too dark of a tone. I'm going to play with colours to see what works. You know, I often look at magazines or other paintings if I'm looking online to see what colours work well together. And just take some inspiration from any painting, really. It doesn't have to be the same thing, of course, it's anything. And just incorporate it into your painting. Doesn't matter if you go over your edges a bit. In fact, I'm going to go over mine a little bit, because what happens when you do that is it just softens up the painting so it's not too harsh of an edge. So you can see it's just giving it a little bit of a softness. I might just put a little bit of green actually, just in that bit there, just to tie in the top and the bottom, you know. You can do the same with the pink if you want to. Like if you want to tie in a little bit of pink, just grab a bit and just put a small amount in the top there like that. Very, very tiny white added to it so you can barely see it. And there you go. There's my cherries. And I'm going to sign my painting. It's a quick tutorial today on those. I'm going to add my name in, I think, a light pink. I'm going to grab some. It has to show up, so I'll try and add something. I try and pick out a colour that's in there. If it's not in there, then I need to change it quicker, but it's a little purpley pink. And I'm just going to roll my brush and give put my initials on the bottom there. Okay, I'm almost done. The reason why I say that is because sometimes I just like to, you know, I look at it again and think, wait a minute, I think I need a little bit more something. So I'm actually going back in and grabbing a little bit more of a dark tone again. So again, a dark purple, because I just think I need a bit more definition right on the bottom here. So I've just gone in there and just grab that darker tone. That's better, but I'm just going to go back in there as well. Of course, if you're happy with yours, sometimes it's best not to touch it anymore, because if you touch it, you know what happens. You either make it better or you make it worse. But if you're happy with it, you know, leave it as it is. Okay, it's a bit better now. I'm just softening out that bottom there. Same with my edge here. Okay, there is my short cherry tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you so much. Bye.